Alright, so where do I start? My name is Rick. If you guys don't know me, I'm an arcade collector, restorer. I have an arcade bar. A couple of them I've had. So I'm not new to this hobby. Been doing it for about 20 years. And let me get you guys started on where I'm at right now, my projects, and let's go. Alright, so where do I start? This used to be, well, I've only owned this house for 2 months. Between 2 and 3 months, somewhere around there. Just bought it, and this was my dream room for my car, because I am into building cars too, which now my car is in that garage, because this is the smaller garage where my game room was. And as of yesterday, I just swapped them both, because it makes more sense to have this big room for arcades and that little room for my car, because I don't really work on my car much anymore. I've already built it, it's done. So this is where I'm at. I've been building arcades lately. I used to own pretty much all these games originally. I've sold them. So I still have a few that are originals, but I also have some that I've been building, like the Track and Field, the Tron, the Dragon's Lair, on Nintendo. And of course, the one I'm working on today, you'll see in this episode, is my Tapper, Simpsons Tapper. So, yep. Just custom built these out of MDF, nothing special. I'm not trying to win an award for the nicest cab ever. This is my own fun little project. I could have used, birch plywood or something, but I went with the easier route. A midway control panel, brand new, I made work. Custom Simpsons graphics. 3D printing my own Tapper cup holders. Got some T-molding, and everybody's gonna say, oh, this is the wrong coin door. I don't really care. It's a coin door. I'm gonna make it look nice, and that'll go on my Tapper. So let's get started with what I'm doing today. Actually, right before we get started, let me show you my game room in the house. It is a complete disaster. Remember, I did just move here, so bear with me. I haven't finished the carpet in the hallway yet, but all right. This is my mess. Give you a little tour. Projects. I wrapped the walls over here with Pac-Man. So this Star Wars cab I bought only to, where's the light? I bought only to put inside of my actual Star Wars cabinet. I've been sourcing these pieces. This cab was the biggest pile of crap I've ever owned. I mean, I had some major, broken pieces to fix and whatnot, but I've been sourcing everything. I just got this bezel, it cost $400, completely ridiculous, but the seller was really cool. It's in amazing condition. It was worth it. I got a brand new control panel from Phoenix Arcade. Yeah, anyways, my Star Wars arcade one-up goes in here, which I know is terrible, but you know what, it'll be a working full-size Star Wars cabinet. It'll look pretty cool. This is another one of my babies. Nintendo Play Choice, fully working, loaded with the power pack, plus a bunch of other games. You got Tony Swan's adapters that do the NES controller and the zapper. We 3D printed these little kiosk type mounts. So you can play with these, or you can play with the joysticks and buttons, either way. But the graphics of this, I am going to change. It's going to be, what was I going to make? Oh, Nintendo World Championship edition of the Play Choice. I know that sounds weird, but bear with me. When it's done, it'll be really cool. I got this little guy, and this guy is getting gutted too and going inside my full-size Tempest, because I have an empty Tempest cabinet, and I'll talk more about that later, but that'll be a really fun project. I got so many projects, so this channel will be full of just nothing but projects. You might like them, you might not like them. I try my best to do some cool stuff here. I got a cocktail here. Look at this. Isn't this creepy? I have no idea. Somebody made this, I think, but it's kind of creepy. Now we got Alf. Let's see. Alright, so this has been my station where I've been basically taking old computers, like all those down there, and turning them into the computers that are gonna run those arcades that I'm building, because I'm gonna maim them all. You won't be able to tell, except there will be an LCD screen, not a CRT. I'll put CRTs in them as I find them, but that's my little workstation. This is a custom built table I did. I printed some graphics for this, see if I can get closer to it. Basically, it's just a bunch of arcade marquees. I put a graphic on top of this table, put team molding on it, and then I went and got stone coat epoxy and sprinkled some sparkly stuff in it, if you can see that, yeah. And epoxied the top of this thing, and it turned out amazing. I could not believe how good it turned out. It's just shiny as can be. And then I got these chairs. You get like 4 for $100 on Amazon. I made little decal kits for these. Dig Dug and Donkey Kong and some others. Let's see. The slot machine. I won't talk about that now. I'll talk about that later. This is a magazine rack just with my Nintendo Powers from when I was a kid. And it's got this little player up here that will play all the commercials, old school Nintendo commercials. I just made this myself. I bought the rack and then does a picture frame video thing. Let's see. Since I'm moving in, hardly anything's completed here. It's just all projects everywhere. My virtual pin was fully working. Now it's torn apart because I got all new screens, new everything for it. I got a racing cabinet. I call it a racing PC gaming cabinet. Pretty much all it's used for. I got this custom pedestal here that does, it plays one of those Pandoras, and it also has Golden Tee 2020. Picked this cab up from a friend of mine, Kenneth. I think I'm gonna make it a 4-player like Konami setup. I actually have a monitor that goes in it. I have a RPCade for Raspberry Pi that lets me use that monitor, and basically it's all 4-player everything, all the Konami games and any 4-player game really. And this one's pretty special to me. I've been wanting this cab forever, this Tekken Cab. Finally got one. I got it fully working now. Basically, the Xbox X goes in here. I got an LG 4K screen. Then I got these big controllers, which I have another one there. Like it's mounted here. They'll have more support, so they're not gonna like wobble around so much. But that project will be just like a fighting cabinet, like Tekken and Mortal Kombat, whatever is out for Xbox. Let's see, what else? I think that's it for my game room in here. But to finish off this row, I think Donkey Kong's going over there. I know for sure 720 and Paperboy are going there. So yeah, I think that'll be the games that go against this wall. Man, what a mess. Does anybody ever move and just be settled in immediately? Is it possible? I don't think it is. Alright, let's get back to what I'm doing today. Okay, so this is the print room. I have a large format roll-in printer. I've been doing this for a little over 20 years, I think now. This is my fourth or third printer, I can't remember. Basically, I print out all my arcade graphics. As you can see here, the Simpsons tapper, Moe's Tap is what it's gonna be called. Or no, Moe's Tavern, that's what I named it. Wife's like, dude, Moe's Tavern. So, alright, so that's what I'm doing. And I got my 3D printer. Okay, so this is my large format scanner I just recently got. I should have bought one of these 20 years ago because this is a lifesaver. This thing has saved me so much time. Let me show you an example. Let's see, where is my one of these? There we go. Here is the Paperboy control panel, right? Now I could take the files off the internet, which I already have, and I've already cleaned up the files and made it look good. But I want this to fit perfect. So I traced this panel onto a piece of paper, a big sheet of paper, and then I scanned it. So now when I scan this, it's a 1-to-1 scan. So when I actually print this graphic out from this template, it will fit this panel perfectly. So that is the reason I bought the scanner. I got a Neo Geo there. I've scanned, in the last few days, I've scanned everything. 720 panel, 720 speaker box, Star Wars panel. I'm just scanning all kinds of panels because I want it to be a perfect fit. Let's see, what do I got here? Track and field, 720. Let me show this. There you go. 720. Got my cat. What? More 720. Yeah. So anyways, yep. That is my little setup I have in here that has been keeping me in business. I've been printing arcade graphics for people, but I've settled down on that. My main source of income besides my normal job is selling skins for Oculus Quest and the Rift and other gaming consoles. What do you want? Why are you bugging me? Yeah, it's hard to work with these roommates. Okay, many of you have seen me do this in the past. This is laminating my prints. I don't own a big fancy laminator. They cost too much. And I don't like doing big prints. Like, I like smaller prints. Like this is a big print to me. Usually I don't do something this long, but since it's my own personal project and I screw up, I don't care. But when you laminate by hand, it's really hard to laminate something this long, especially if it's wide. And that's why I sold my wide format printer, my big printer, and I got this littler one, which is still decent size. Because I was sick of trying to laminate by hand these huge prints like turtles. Everyone's it all in one piece. Well, I offer turtles in 3 pieces because it's such a big, wide print that I can't print no more. Alright, so basically, this laminate is UV protected. It protects your graphics from the lights in the house, sunlight, if you have it outside, which I don't know why you would. It also protects it from scratches and whatever else. Plus, it just makes it look nicer. This is glossy. I also have a matte finish. And then I have a polycarbonate, which is like what you find on control panels. It's got like a texture to it. Now bear with me here. This is a long piece to laminate. I could screw this up. If I do, I gotta reprint the whole stupid thing over. Alright, so this is called the Big Squeegee. I've been using this for, I think, 15 years now. Somewhere around there. And it's been pretty awesome. Make sure there's no cat hairs on here. A lot of you that know me know I offer cat hair specials because I have cat hair that gets stuck in these prints sometimes. Because I have a couple cats. And I don't keep them out of my print room. Alright, here we go. I gotta do this by hand. I gotta stretch all awkward. It's such a long print. Glossy. Glossy finish. And it looks funny, it's floating in the air, but that gets cut off for the cabinet, so just for anyone asking. Okay, so before we get started, I want to do something on my episodes. Each episode, I'll show a little quick tip on something I've learned throughout the years. We can call it pro tips, but that's just me stealing it from Stone Coat epoxy coating. So that guy does. He's like, pro tip, if you do this. You know, I'm not really a pro, but I will show you something on each episode that has saved me a lot of time that I've learned. And today's is this. I won't be doing it. I'll just be showing you what I mean. Let's say you want a certain size T-molding. You have 3/4 inch, you know, and you're like, oh man, I don't want 3/4 inch T-molding, I want a smaller size. Let's pretend, even though this is 3/4 inch, let's pretend this is only 1/2 inch T-molding. And that's what we want. We want 1/2 inch T-molding, but I don't have 1/2 inch T-molding. I have 3/4. Cut your T-slot, you know, down in the middle. So I'll show that on another episode, but the T-slot bit, you know, you cut the little groove inside there so the T-molding can be pounded in, right? What you do is you cut that bit in the center of your 1/2 inch You install the 3/4 inch T-molding on this long piece of wood. This is the 8-foot piece of wood. You install it on this whole piece, right? You pound it in there. Use what's called a T-molding trimmer. Now this trimmer will let you basically go down the entire T-molding and cut it to whatever size the wood is. And if you were to try to do this on a cabinet, it wouldn't work out well because you got curves and stuff. So what you do is you cut the T-molding on this long piece of wood. You pull it off and you put the next section on, you pound it back in. You keep doing that until you get the length you need at the width you need. Hopefully you understood that, but that is a trick I learned when I don't have the right size T-molding. Obviously you can't go larger with T-molding because you can't make it larger, but when you need to make it smaller, use a T-molding trimmer, use the correct size of wood, a long piece, and it's easy as that. Okay, so I'm about to cut the hole for my coin door. I've done all the measurements I need to do. I think it's to where I want it to be as to kind of how the real arcade looks like, the tapper. Basically, you just need a drill to make your initial first hole. I use one of these cone, I don't know what they're called, and then jigsaw. So I'm gonna cut the hole out of here, but before I do that, I want to let you guys know that I will be showing you guys how I build these cabinets. I have 9 more that I need to build for my personal collection of what I want, and I'll be showing you guys the process of how I do this. It's not perfect, but it's turns out pretty good. I've learned what not to do because I have built a cabinet and moved it 3 feet and it just fell apart to pieces. I've learned not to use a nail gun, but instead use a crown stapler gun, which I have a crown stapler, a Ryobi one, which is really nice. I just got. I also learned you can use wood glue, which doesn't really work very well with MDF. It does with like birch and stuff. But if you wood glue and use a crown stapler and maybe a few screws here and there, your cabinet will be pretty solid. It won't fall apart. All right, let's get started. Okay, so now that I have the hole cut out of here, since I'm going to be putting graphics on today, I have to make sure I get all this sawdust like perfectly clean, because the littlest bit of sawdust, even in the cabinet, when you're pulling the backing paper off the graphics, the static electricity will suck up that dust and put it in your graphic. Trust me, you will have a mess. So I have to clean up all this. I have to get this perfect. Wipe it down with isopropyl alcohol lightly and just vacuum it all up. Do what I can to make it perfectly clean. Okay, so I've cleaned this whole piece off. I even take a detail brush and I go in these little crevices here because I'm still finding dust right now even. Because you will get dust and dirt inside these little cracks and they will get in your print. Another tip is do not use, when you're working with bare wood that's not painted especially, that's not the smoothest, don't use a towel. If you do use a towel, make sure it's a little damp, because this will leave little pieces of fuzz, even with a microfiber towel. So basically what I did was I vacuumed it, I used my leaf blower, I used this little guy, and that's about it. Alright, so let's get the graphic on there. Hope she fits. Boom. This will be a little tricky because usually you do what's called a hinge method. You tape the centers and you do one half of the graphic you apply, then you apply the next half. It's a little tricky when you have this because you have these in the way. It's easier on the side art. But I also have to be careful because certain tape, especially this tape, can take off your paint. This is a matte paint, so it's not as bad, but it might take it off. I should test a little bit on the side here. Rubbed in really good. Yeah, not taking the paint off, so it should be good. Now, another thing is, it's pretty warm out today. It's pretty hot in the garage too. I had the fan going, but I turned it off for the video. But when it's warm out, it makes your graphics a lot tougher to install, because your graphics get really really like flexible and thin, and they kind of shrink a little, and they get just a lot easier to wrinkle. So you got to be aware of that too. Now if this does tear off the paint, it's not a big deal. I can touch that up. So let's just make sure it's down good. Oh, I need a razor blade. Hold on. Gotta have a razor blade. Okay, so all my razor blades are in the house, and I'm too lazy to go up there and get them. So I'm just grabbing one of these that I had in the garage. It'll work. Alright, so I'll do this. I'm always more comfortable doing the left side first when I'm facing the graphic. It's just something I'm more used to. But I can already tell, I mean, it's not too bad, but I can already tell it's definitely more flimsible because it's hot in here. Put this down here. So basically we're doing what's called the hinge method I told you about. Keep this graphic here. Now the reason why you don't want to tear this is because you will get pieces of paper on your graphic. You never want to tear it. You always want to cut it with a new razor blade. Nice clean cut. Hold one side up, connect it to your arm, shave your arms if you have to. Mine are pretty hairy, but it's alright. I gotta be careful here because what's gonna happen is, since there's a hole here, it's gonna want to go uneven. It's not gonna want to lay down evenly. So I pulled it tight and stretched it. Normally you just do this and you put it on, but since there's a hole here, it makes it a little more difficult. Put that's on. Let's take this tape off. Good. It did not screw up my paint. I didn't think it would, but you never know. Don't need the razor blade no more. If you have a friend that can help you do this, it sometimes makes it easier, especially for a big graphic. Sometimes friends make it worse because they are absolutely terrible at this and will help you screw it up. Now, I could pull this tight. Here, let's try it the other way. Let's just do it this way. How you would normally do it. Just work our way up. Let's see if they join together correctly. And I'll show you what I mean when they don't. Okay, so when you get to here, you're gonna have some extra and it's gonna wrinkle. See that? That is why you want to pull it tighter and be gentle, just barely. You have to be really gentle with it. Don't press down hard until you have it down to where you exactly want it to be. I've been doing this a long time, so I've learned all these little techniques. And that piece is done. Let's take a look how it's going so far. It's starting to look like a tapper. I got the Simpsons panel on there just for looks. I've only got one of these 3D printing, so I'm waiting for more material to come. I think you can get, this is pretty solid. I've modified it from the original to make it fit my cabinet, but you can get about 2 of these out of one roll of PLA. But it's pretty solid. This isn't going to break. It'll hold on from the inside with screws. But yeah, that's looking pretty good. Man, I'm pretty happy with that. Rose Tavern. So now I'm going to do the side art, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so now that we're doing the side art soon, just make sure you lay something down. Like, this is the moving blanket. I mean, come on, you wouldn't lay your baby down on a cement floor, would you? I mean, this is a baby, so yeah, lay something down nice and soft so you don't scratch the cabinet up, especially when you got the other side done. You don't want to put the done side on the cement floor and scratch up your new graphics. So, common sense, just lay a damn blanket down. Okay, so this step is really important. You want to get this graphic on exactly where you need it. Because once you start putting it on, you probably don't want to take it back off. Especially if it's warm environment, because when you pull the graphic back off, you'll stretch it and it'll warp out of shape. So to get this from stop moving, I need to take a razor blade and cut a lot of this leftover. Now I designed this glass to be in here and it's gonna get cut out, no biggie. I just kind of threw things in there to make sure that there's something there. If you don't get this right when it's installed, especially since there's hard lines, you'll see that it's crooked. So you really need to watch what you're doing. All right, let's make sure his head's not cut off. That's good, that's good. Let's see where this goes. Right here. Right here. Cuts off a little bit of glass. Gets pretty close to his shoulder, but I think I designed it that way. Cut off that bottle. I'm gonna tape it down. I'm gonna trim that part out. Not all the way to the edge, trim it like an inch away. Because you still want to be able to move around just in case. It's scary cutting into a new graphic, especially if you paid a lot of money for it. So now, I'm gonna cut little slits here. The reason I do these little slits, I don't go all the way to the edge, but I get close, is that I can just tape this better. So when I tape this up, it basically just holds it better. Now this should be good enough, it shouldn't move. Yeah, it's on good. Okay. Let's see if I can do this without being in your guys' way to see what I'm doing. We're doing the Hinge Method. My nose, the sawdust making my nose run. And I doubt I have the coronavirus, but you never know, I guess. Make sure you cut it. Always use a new razor blade. And this is pretty new. I can use it for, I use a new razor blade or a new tip for every single, usually for every install for one cabinet. Usually works good for me. One more sweep to make sure there's no dust. Looks good. Oh. Now I'm gonna hold this, stick it to my arm, and just squeegee back and forth. Probably want to have a squeegee that has a felt end to it. If not, you can just kind of put your own felt end on there. You can buy felt from like hardware store and stuff, but if you use this side, you can get scratches, but the scratches will disappear when you apply heat. All right. Get out of the way. It is hot in here. I am sweating. It's just terrible outside today, I guess. Now I always like to work on my left side because I feel more comfortable. Squeegee better. Now this is a big piece. Since I didn't do it perfectly in half, I have a much bigger piece to lay down here, so it's a little trickier. I mean, look at that. That's more than half the cabinet. So what you can do, pull back what you're comfortable with. In this case, I'll just go to here. Just making sure that my graphic's not going on crooked, getting wrinkles, touching. That part will be tricky. This is why if you have two people, it makes it a lot easier. Someone could hold the other side. Alright, so now to this part. And see how I wrinkled that with my hand? That's okay, because you could just take a blow dryer to this stuff and make it look brand new again. I showed that on one of my other videos. Straighten this out. There we go. Make sure there's nothing I'm missing. So hot right now. Doing this for you guys. Just kidding. If there's anything that didn't get laid down, I can see it later. I'll just push it down with my fingers because it's air release vinyl. There's little pockets in here that let air escape. Okay, so it's time to trim this. Never trim with a blade like this. I'm going to because it's just right here. Use a brand new blade and only have like the tip sticking out and just kind of go along the edge. With a long blade like this, I have more of a chance of screwing up. But we'll see. The nicer of an edge you have, the better your cut will be. And also, don't press too hard because you will dig into this wood. You don't want to do that. Just know where you're going. So many people do it differently. Some people tuck the vinyl into the onto the top of the wood and then into the T-molding. I don't do it that way. I just never found it to work out as good. I'm not putting any pressure on this. I'm barely even touching it. These little corners are tricky. They're really tricky. Press down on the vinyl to kind of see where you're going. This is why you need a tiny tip blade. Now that little corner I kind of hacked up, but I'll be able to tuck it in to where the T-molding is. Come on. The cabinet looks pretty awesome. I'm pretty impressed. Okay, so now it's time for T-molding. For some reason it didn't record when I was trying to record putting on the T-molding, so here it is. But that's it for this episode. Next time I'll be putting on the coin door, the marquee, maybe doing some controls in the monitor. So make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you on my next video.